Good morning. This is math lesson 141. We're on page 255 and 256, so I'm going to do a quick review. I'm going to let you do some of the problems on the front. We'll go over the answers then together, and then we will do the word problem section together today. So pages 255 and 256 are what you should have out. But before we do that, let's go through a real quick review of changing these fractions into decimals. 0.5 you should already know. 0.25, 0.75, 0.2, we use this one a lot. 0.4, remember, because if 1/5 is 0.2, we can double it 0.4. 0.6 then. 0.8. Now the eighths. Remember, it's 0.125. If you don't have these, you might want to pause, write them down as we go through them, the ones that you don't know. All right? How about 3/8? 0.375, 0.625, 0.875. So all of the eighths have 3-digit decimals. 0.3 repeating, remember we show that with the bar over the 3, bar over the repeating digit. So if 1/3 is 0.3, 2/3 0.6. 0.16 with a bar over the 6 only, remember, 0.16 with a bar over the 6. 0.83 with a bar over the 3, and we're back to 0.5. In your books, go ahead and do number 1, solving and checking A through D, and then we're going to go over the answers. So pause it, because I'm going to pick right back up with the answers. So number 1, hopefully you got x equals 15. When you check out, you had to subtract 7 and 4 to get 11, to get 3. Then you had to multiply both sides by 5 to keep it balanced. So x is by itself, and it equals 15, substituted in and check, of course. B, y equals 3. C, b equals 3. And D, r equals 8. So if you did not get those answers, put a circle, a star, something next to those to let you know to go back and fix those, because there's no point once you know the right answer, if you don't have it, to go back and get it correct. Do section 2, the order of operations. Solve that, of course, show your steps. And then come back for the answers. Ready? Number 2, the answer is 183. B, 20. So A was 183, B is 20. Remember, you did have to do the parentheses first. 9 minus 7, 2. Then the exponents, 2 squared, which is 4. And then the last thing would be to multiply by the 5. C is 30, and D is 14. So again, if you didn't get those, mark them, go back, see what you did wrong, where you went out of order, or maybe just misadded or mismultiplied, and fix those answers. How about section 3? A, B, and C deal with perimeter and circumference. A is a rectangle. Do you remember the formula? Double the length plus double the width is perimeter. How about B for a circle? Circumference would be pi times diameter. And then for a square, the perimeter would be 4 times the side. So go ahead and solve those 3, come back, and let's check our answers. 3A, 16 1/4 feet, or 16.25 feet if you use the decimal version. B, when you multiply, our circumference is 47.1 or 47.10 meters. Make sure you're putting the units in your answers, and these aren't square units because it's just perimeter and circumference. And then C, when we multiply by 4, we get the perimeter is 964 inches. Section 4, now we're into finding the areas, so let's go over the formulas again. A, for a circle, what is the formula for area? Hopefully you remembered it's pi times the radius squared, or pi r squared. Remember, we learned with algebraic multiplication, we can just put them all together since they're symbols and letters. B, a parallelogram. What is the formula for area? Base times height. And then C, the formula for triangles area is 1/2 times the base times the height. Now remember, that can be done in any order. You could cut the base in half, then multiply by the height. You could cut the height in half, then multiply by the base. Or you can multiply the base and the height and then cut it in half. So as long as you're doing the half part just once, we only do a half once, then you will have the correct answer. So solve those and come back for your answers. For A, the area is 78.5 or 78.50 square feet. Please remember, all area is in square units. Put that in with either the SQ or your exponent of 2 after the measurements. B, the area is 416.52 square centimeters for that parallelogram. And then C, the area is 8,455 square feet for the answer of the area of that square. All right, moving on to section 5. This is where you're going to fill in the blanks with your measurements you're converting. So a quick review of converting measurements. Remember, when we're going, doesn't matter which is first in the order, we're still converting from larger to smaller because pecks are larger than quarts. So we're still going to multiply, larger to smaller multiply. There are 8 quarts in a peck, so that's the number we're multiplying by. So we take 5.5 times 8, make sure we have that decimal point in our answer. We can drop off the 0.0 because it's not needed. So we end up with 44 quarts equals 5.5 pecks. So it doesn't matter that quart is here and pecks here. We're not going smaller to larger. The measurement we're given is the larger one. Larger to smaller. I can't cross my arms this way. Multiply. So watch out for that. And in the back of your books, if you still have the back of your books in shape and it's not all over the place or disappeared at this point, page 397 and 398 go through all those measurement equivalents, especially on page 398. It's got the square unit equivalents, which you will want for B in section 5. So go ahead and do those conversions, and if you need help, page 397 and 398 are where you can look. So right now we're going to do the word problems 6A, 6B, and 6D. I put C by accident. We're going to skip C because we didn't get to that. That's one of those skip lesson parts. So let's go ahead and do these 3 problems. While I change this to D, cross out C. There we go. In your books. Just to make sure we're setting these up right and we understand how we're doing it. All right, A says the perimeter of an equilateral triangle is 18 feet. That word equilateral means it's the same all the way around. Okay, all sides are equal. So we know a triangle has 3 sides. So if the perimeter is 18 feet, we know to find the side. If it's equilateral and all 3 sides are the same, we haven't learned that word equilateral other than now today. Then that should be a very easy one to show how you set up your work and you get the answer 6 feet. So each side of that equilateral triangle, 6 feet, 6 feet, and 6 feet, gives us the perimeter, not the area, the perimeter of 18 feet. B, it says Marcus paid $12 for a basketball that was 25% off. What was the regular price of the ball? So he's paying $12, but it was 25% off of a different amount. So if you remember, if he's paying $12, and this was 25% off something, really what he's paying was 75% of that original price. So we're going backwards. We're trying to find the original price. So if it was 25% off, we know that that $12 amount is 75% of the original price. So when we set up to work backwards, we can put that $12 divided by 75% as a decimal. This was the sale price. He got 25% off the original. We need to remember when we were doing percent problems, that means what this is 75% of the original, not 100% because he got 25% off. This is what he paid, 75%. So that's why we divide the sale price by the amount of the original that he paid. So we're going to move that decimal point 2 places over because I can't divide by a decimal being out here. I've got to show that it's up here. Now we can divide. 75 won't go into 1. It won't go into 12. It will go into 120. How many times? Hopefully you know that it's once because if we double it, it's already at 150, too high. So 1 times 75, go ahead and subtract. 45, we still have this 0 to bring down. Remember, when we're doing double digits, 7 will go into 45. Let's guess 6 times, because 6 times 7 is 42. And then we multiply, and it turns out that it goes in perfectly even. And here is our answer. $16 was the original price. So Marcus paid $12. It was 25% off, so we know he paid 75% of the original amount. We divide to work backwards and get $16 as our original price. Skipping C and moving on to D, the Davis family had a house valued at $160,000. So this is their value. And then it tells us what they pay in the taxes on that property. It says they must pay property taxes on 85% of the value of the house. So we need to find that 85% value so we know what portion of that value is actually taxed. So we're going to multiply 5 times 0, 0, 0, 0, 5 times 6, and 5 times 1 plus 3. 8 times 0, 0, 0, 0. 8 times 6, and then 8 times 1 plus 4. That is not a straight line, but we're going to pretend it is. All right. So really what they're taxed on is not the full $160,000. What they are taxed on is $136,000 of their value. But there's more. They're taxed on 85% of it at a rate of 1.2%. And if you remember, 1.2%, when we change that to a decimal, we've got to move it over. It becomes 0.012 that we are now multiplying by, right? Because this is the value of their house. They're taxed actually on 85% of their value. So what are they assessed taxes on? The $136,000. At what rate? 1.2%. We're going to change that to a decimal. And now we multiply this to find out, finally, what were their taxes on their property. So 2 times 0, 2 times 0, 2 times 0, 2 times 6, 2 times 3 plus 1, and 2 times 1. 1 times 0, 0, 0, 6, 3, 1. I could put zeros and go multiplying by zeros, but it's 0. So why waste all that time and energy when I can use my brain? And just remember, I will need 3 decimal points in my answer. So we add them. 0, 0, 0, 2, 13, 6, No carrying. 3 decimal points. So what were their taxes? $1,632 in property taxes. Because this was their tax rate, but they were only taxed on 85% of the actual value of their home. So I hope that made sense and that you were able to follow along. Remember, even when we do these together, you need to be showing your work. So go ahead and finish section 5 today. Doing all of those that we haven't done. Go back and correct any from 1 through 4 that you need to fix. Section 7, I just want you to label the graph. Section 8, you are finding the answers, and we've gone over each and every one of those types already, even this week, let alone multiple times throughout the year. So that is your review for your algebra and geometry, and I will see you in the next math lesson tomorrow. Bye.